You see this paper? It is blank, right? Yes? Okay, all clear. Now, see for yourself. If I flip this paper, it has got a beautiful painting. Now, I would say our life is somewhat the same. Because we are born as a paper, as blank as it could be. But as we proceed through the so-called journey of life, step by step, first we make strokes, then we sketch, and we finally paint to create a beautiful painting by ourselves. Because we are the artists of our own life. But sometimes, just sometimes, certain people, certain situations will start tearing you, crushing you, and throwing you into the trash can. The beautiful painting once isn't there in the trash can. Now, most of those paintings are lost today because they forgot that there is a world outside the trash can. They forgot that they can bind themselves together with something like this, an adhesive. Let me start by thanking all the failures that have come my way, for throwing me into the trash can, for showing me that I can be gritty, and for making me realize that I can bind myself together and be reborn as a whole new paper with that painting yet again. Hello everyone, my name is Anaswara Ramesh. I am a 11th grade student, an aspiring entrepreneur, a budding dancer, singer, martial artist, orator, writer, programmer, and most of them don't know this, that I can also play keyboard as well. So you see, I was not born with a golden spoon, neither silver nor platinum, just a simple, normal steel spoon. 4 years before 2007, my mom and dad were blessed with a baby girl. Little did they know that she's going to make them so proud. No, don't worry, it's not me. She's my sister, my inspiration, currently doing her BTech in mechanical engineering at IIT Madras. So I was born to a mom and dad who had big dreams for their daughters. And my sister was always very studious. And by the way, my dad is a cool dad. The coolest you can think of, and my mom is not. She is strict, very efficient, and proficient as well. So my sister was well beyond everybody's expectations, and you won't believe me if I say that she could recite a 5-minute long English poem when she was just 4 years old. And I was and am a different case. Forget about learning an English poem. I even found the alphabets so boring. 9 years have passed, and I see so many changes in me. And credits goes to my parents, my sister, my teachers, and at the end of the day, me. Because in fact, I was the one who broke out from my comfort zone to prove something, which I will say at the last, but moreover to experience the unexperienced. And how can I ever forget my grandmother, who loves and cares for me more than anybody else? She spends a good part of the day praying for me, and I strongly believe that she's the one behind my luck factor. So I remember spending my childhood days with my grandfather, who read out the stories from Panchatantra, Jataka tales, and of course magazines at that point in time because of my pestering. And I don't know why he somehow found the stories with donkeys as the protagonist so very interesting that he used to handpick those for me and read. And I, as a child, never bothered what he was reading, but just admired the tone of seriousness when he read out those stories, and especially the morals. That would be most probably like, think before you act, think wise, such and such. But can't blame him, today when I think about it. He probably had a desire that his second granddaughter shouldn't turn out to be foolish because maybe I behaved like a one. Just kidding. Now, jokes apart, I grew up having a keen interest towards stories, story writing, storytelling, and such and such. And that is when I remember on the day I turned 6, my father brought me a big storybook. And when I say big, it was very big. And the moment I saw, I jumped and grabbed from his hand. And I'm like, the cover page looked fantastic. The book itself was stupendous for me. I moved on to the next page. It looked great. And to the next, it looked fantastic. And to the next, I hastily moved on to the next page and to the first chapter. Do you know what was written? The donkey and the well. I already had enough. I was fed up with this donkey stories. I wanted to read something else. But for the very first time, that story was different. The story had a twist. Long ago, a donkey fell into an abandoned well. Terrified, the animal cried for hours as the spectators figured out what to do. They all decided that the animal was too old and impossible to retrieve, and hence the well needed to be filled to prevent future loss. They all grabbed the shovels and started to throw dirt into the well. After a few shovel loads later, they looked down and were astonished at what they saw. With each shovel of dirt that hit the donkey's back, the donkey would shake it off and keep a step up. And finally, the donkey stepped up over the edge of the well and happily, ever happily, trotted off. That was the day I realized that there is no medicine so effective, no incentive so great, and no tonic so powerful as the hope for tomorrow, to live, to thrive, for excellence. If you ask me, do you remember the first stage that you had in your life? I don't. But I vaguely remember going for fancy dress competitions for which the dress was too large for me and my mother had to use a complete whole packet of safety pins to make it fit right. But I remember that I got prizes for almost all the competitions that I went this time. So, maybe because the competition was less, or I don't know the reason particularly. But from dance to music to fancy dress competition, and where children smile at the audience, it was a smiling contest. I also went for that even. It was a purely wit. I was a hero till this time. But time passed by, and then came that day. The day I had to hand over this title of hero to something so intimidating, so terrifying. And that is a feeling I hope almost all human beings will have at some point in time. It is called fear. I started to fear to do something. But that day was the same day I took the first leap in making the person I am today. How, you may ask? I have a story to tell. I was almost around 7 years old when I got this opportunity to represent my school in an all Kerala level inter-school English recitation competition. And trust me, I was well prepared. But the moment I saw the venue, I was completely perplexed because everyone around me was so older than me. They, of course, had so much of experience. And I was a 7-year-old child. And this was the first time I'm going to handle such a huge audience. It was not an audience, actually. It was a crowd. And they gave me the chess number as 647. I sat with my parents who were eagerly waiting for me to perform. When I looked at their eyes itself, I knew that they have taken a lot of effort in preparing. Especially it was me who was going to perform. So I sat with my parents, and with each passing performance, I started to lose my mind. I started to prepare myself. Okay, Anaswara, sometimes you need to return back home empty-handed. Don't worry, don't cry. That was the only prayer that I had at that point in time. And that is when they suddenly called out, "Judges, please note, next chess number 6, 4, 7. I was so scared. I looked at my parents. I started to walk onto the stage, stood in front of the mic, and for the first time, I saw the entire crowd. For a moment, the world was upside down. Around me, in front of me, behind me, everything was blank. My hands was like broken ice. My knees started to shiver. I looked on my right, on my left. I couldn't spot my parents. That is when they asked me to start. I remember I began not to recite, but to cry. And despite shedding tears like rain, after some time I somehow managed to finish it off quickly and get off the stage. I knew that my parents are going to be extremely sad. But surprisingly, that day, that night after the program, they took me out to dine, and I asked them, "Aren't you sad? I'm so sorry, I couldn't do my level best. Give me one more chance. I will prove you wrong. I will prove my worth." And that is when my parents told me one of the most important pieces of advice that I still carry with me, even today at this mere moment. They said, "Let us celebrate our failures today." You know why? Because he who knows failure can only experience success. For us, you have won today because you rose from your fall. You were able to complete the poem. And you should be lucky enough to be winner already in your life. Because out of the million cells that battled, only you won. Only you were born. So you, me, and all of us are lucky to be winners already. But whenever you doubt yourself, say this, utter this. Yes, you can. Yes, you will. And yes, you should. Because if you can't do it, then think about who else can in this world. I heard that not with my ears, but with my heart. From here on, every time before I enter a stage, I used to make this statement to everybody else around me. "Hey, come on, I need to tell you something. I don't have fear. Because I know that I'm going to make it. Don't you think so?" And they all are like, "Anaswara, are you okay?" Because deep inside, I still had a fear whether I'm going to make it that day. And that is when a voice much more powerful, much more strong within myself replies back saying, "Yes, you can. Yes, you will. And yes, you should. Because if you can't do it, then who can?" Now it is 9th of September. Time is around 10:20. From that 7-year-old girl who cried seeing the crowd, today I'm standing amidst the crowd. As a Chief Executive Officer of Team Sitline, the winners in the Thai Young Entrepreneurs Global Pitch Presentation 2022. As an Asia Book and India Book of Records holder, as a Jagran and Josh Educational Awardee, as a CCRT Scholarship holder from Government of India, as a Naturals Young Achievers Award 2023 recipient at TEDxGECRIT. And you know what? As they say, what happened yesterday is a history. As for me, it is fate. What is going to happen tomorrow is a mystery. As for me, it is destiny. But what is happening right now is a gift. And that is why it is called present. Now let me ask you a small question. When you say or when you hear the word lemon, what comes to your mind first? Soreness, right? Yes? But let me tell you, it just takes you the time of interchanging the letters M and L from that word to make your whole life as sweet as a melon. Now, you know what? Failure has got many anagrams, but the two ones I like the most, or I feel the most important, are fear and fire. The fear in you burns you inside, proves that you're worthless. But the fire inside you illuminates you, lights you up. And that is when you can understand that you are able to do something. And that is when people will see you as a shining, bright star. As they say, कभी कभी जीतने के लिए कुछ हारना पड़ता है और हार के जीतने वालों को बाजीगर कहते हैं. You know, there is a song, I hope you all might have heard this. रुक जाना नहीं तू कभी हार के बनाता है जल के मिलेंगे सारे हजार रे. In fact, I would say, let us make this practical. Let us make this song so practical in our lives. And I've kept the best part for the last. You might all find a piece of paper in your wooden planks of the chairs. Can you all take them and read for me? Now, I'm going to guess what is written in there. Okay. It is hard. It is tough. I'm not going to make it. I'm not fitting into this. Do you think my ideas are good enough for me to be in that position? Are these the words written in your papers? You know what? These are the testimonies of the hundreds and thousands of reasons that you are going to make in your life for you to stop, halt, and return back to the original position of zero. And let me tell you, I hope that there will be 3 people from this crowd who might have got something different. Who are they? Can anybody stand up? Something different from all those. Yes? Okay, yeah, thank God. Okay, so what it was written is actually very beautiful. And that one reason is actually enough for you to continue to prove your potential to everybody else around you. And that is, yes, you can, yes, you will, and yes, you should. Because if you can't do it, then who else can? I remain. Thank you.